Hello and welcome back to another We Ourselves video. Today I want to discuss a recent Variety article about Adam Driver's revelation that Kylo Ren's original fall to darkness was abandoned by Lucasfilm even before The Force Awakens debuted. Adam Driver says Kylo Ren's original Star Wars arc got overhauled. He was supposed to be the most committed to the dark side by the end. The idea that Ben Solo, Adam Driver's character, should have been the main villain was obvious from the start. First of all, he's a very talented actor. He's one of the best spoken of aspects of the entire series, except for when J.J. Abrams came back and kind of messed up everything in the third movie. But it's no surprise to everybody that he really should have been the main villain. And to hear him finally come out, because now the actors can, I guess there's been some time, it's 10 years, and they can come out and talk about it. It's finally affirming for him to come out and say that no, the reason that he took this part was because he was told this story arc that Ben Solo would be, as he says, the most committed to the dark side. He was supposed to have the opposite trajectory of Darth Vader. He was going to start out unsure, but by the end, he was going to be deeply committed to the dark side, and he should have been there. The problem is, it got messed up. When J.J. Abrams got in trouble and he was running out of time with the first movie, the entire plan got thrown out and he just did his movie and he left it to Rian Johnson to do his movie. And the idea of it being an overall arc for this character was kind of thrown out the window. And of course, everybody looks at Rian Johnson as the one who messed it up, but Adam Driver said that Rian Johnson's writing of his character was pretty much on target. It did not veer away from that original concept, and I would agree with him. At the end of The Last Jedi, Kylo Ren still could have been the main bad guy, and so Adam Driver is right that Rian Johnson did not mess up his character arc. It still could have been salvaged. What messed up his arc was what J.J. Abrams did, not only in the third film by insisting on bringing in another bad guy, and I believe that that was a Bob Iger decision. I don't even think that was a Kathleen Kennedy decision. I think when they showed them what they had, it was Bob Iger that said that these different endings that you've done, none of them is going to work because nobody's going to know, particularly like the Son of Mortis thing. Nobody's going to know what that is, even though Star Wars fans would know what it was. And so he insisted on something familiar, and I think that's when they decided to go with Emperor Palpatine. But the real undercutting of this story arc happened with J.J. Abrams in the first film when he had Rey defeat Kylo at the end of the movie. Once you did that, and then Rian Johnson came along and they fought to a standstill, there was no threat unless Ben was going to go off somewhere and suddenly learn and increase his dark side powers. Could have been done, but 2 movies in, it was a little late. What they should have done in the first movie was have Rey lose to Kylo Ren. But J.J. Abrams messed it up, which makes me wonder if he was ever really committed to that total story arc anyway. Because if you were, then why would you mess up the character by having him definitively lose to Rey? But I guess the thing for me as a Star Wars fan that always bothered me is that Disney had the perfect story. You still could have had Rey be the strong female protagonist. You should have used the Legacy of the Force story that came out in the early 2000s. It featured the children, the twins of Han Solo and Leia Organa Solo, Jason and Jaina Solo. And I think they're like late 20s, early 30s, so it still would have worked with these 2 characters. They were brother and sister. Now, if you did not want to do that, then Rey should have still been related to Ben. Because I don't care what all the other shippers said, I always got the vibe that they were brother and sister. That's why the awkwardness between them struck me, because they didn't know that they were related. In my version, they would have been related. And so they always struck me as brother and sister. They didn't show any kind of romantic affection or attraction to each other at all. To me, brother and sister or cousin. And it would fit perfectly with that scene in The Last Jedi when you see Kylo shirtless and Rey's response to it. She's not remotely interested in him in that way. But anyway, they had the perfect story because in there, Jason Solo falls to the dark side and he becomes Darth Kytus, and he's taking over the New Republic and he's turning it almost into another Empire. And the only person who can stop him is his twin, Jaina Solo, who becomes the Sword of the Jedi. In that story, she's already a pilot, and because she's Han Solo's daughter, she's an ace pilot. And she's also been working with Uncle Luke in the new Jedi Academy, so she's also learned how to use her Force abilities. Everything that everybody had said that Rey needed was already there for Disney to use. But what did they do? They went and handpicked all of these elements. They picked just enough from that storyline and other things to make it not work. And it's utterly unbelievable to me. When you see Adam Driver say this, of course he should have been the main villain. And they had the story sitting there in their book archive, Legacy of the Force, and you still could have had Rey be the main protagonist. She still could have been the one where everything depended on, but you had an organic, original story there that would have worked and would have pleased all the fans if you had just given Rey a modicum of Jaina Solo's background and experience to explain why she's so good at what she does. So yeah, I'm not surprised, and neither is anybody else, that Kylo Ren's original story arc was for him to go completely dark, and it would have been up to Rey to fight him. All Star Wars fans, particularly of the expanding universe, already knew that story. That's why everybody was asking, well, who's Rey related to? We just had a sense that she needs to be related to somebody, or else this is already going off the rails. And of course, Disney, Star Wars, went off the rails with it. And I have to say this, when it comes to this idea that the sequel trilogy and the new thing that we're doing with Ahsoka and everything is that everybody can be a Jedi. And I know there's a lot of old school Star Wars fans who have a problem with that, and I don't buy it either. But I just have to say this. When you look at the sequel trilogy, the Jedis have never been as homogenous, and I tell you what I mean. Rey, who can just use the Force, like overnight, she's a very Caucasian woman, okay? Leia, Caucasian female. Luke Skywalker, Caucasian male. Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, Caucasian male. And in The Last Jedi, the little boy at the end who uses the Force is not the little black boy or the girl, it's the little white boy who uses the Force. For all of this talk of diversity and everybody can be a Jedi, they've really narrowed down being a Jedi to a very homogenous group, and they are all Caucasian people. Finn doesn't count. In the original conception of him in the artwork and stuff, I think he was supposed to be Force sensitive like Rey. But once they casted John Boyega, like so many other things that happened under Disney, suddenly there's a switch thrown and the real characterization is thrown out the window for Finn. And so he doesn't count because they never really doubled down and made him a Force user in the trilogy. The Force users aren't diverse in your universe that you have. The shows are another thing, but with sequel trilogy, no. And I just had to say that because it's something that I've noticed all along, and I just think it's just total silliness that Disney Star Wars keeps making this claim, and that's not what you put up on the big screen. So yeah, Adam Driver took the part because he saw the total story arc and he was supposed to go totally dark, and he was committed to that, and he did his best with the material that he was given. Everybody really agrees that he's one of the bright spots of all three of the movies, but they did him wrong too. And yeah, it just shows how far off that Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm has gone. When they had the stupid material in their archives, it was written, it was sitting there. You did not have to crack this hard nut with each movie. You had a blueprint already there. You just decided not to do it. But anyway, those are my thoughts on this. As usual, like, subscribe, and share, and I will see you in the next video.